All right, guys, what's going on? Welcome in. So it's week 16 of the NFL season, and the 3-win Jets are going to be taking on the 2-12 Jacksonville Jaguars in MetLife Stadium. I got to be honest with you, I think this could definitely be the weirdest game of the NFL season because of the amount of people that are just flat out missing. Whether it's due to the virus or in Urban Meyer's case, him being fired a couple weeks ago, we still don't really have an identity of this Darrell Bevell-led Jacksonville Jaguars team. I think it will look actually a lot different than under Urban Meyer. I do expect this Jaguars team to be feeding guys like James Robinson, feeding the young core players the football a lot more. Where I felt like under Urban Meyer, it was more so he had his favorites, almost like a high school, like the seniors are going to play, guys like Carlos Hyde and whatnot. But you take a look at the amount of guys that the Jets are going to be missing. I actually had to pull out the notebook here. That's how many names are on this list. Now, just due to the virus, it starts with head coach Robert Saleh. Obviously, he needs 2 negative tests to coach this Sunday, and it's looking like it's going to be tight ends coach Ron Middleton that will step in as that interim head coach for this weekend's game. Obviously, Jeff Ulbrich will hold down the defense, calling plays. Mike LaFleur holding down the offense, calling his plays. So I don't really expect much of a speed bump or a hiccup in those two departments, but I mean, man, nobody really knows what to expect from Ron Middleton. Hasn't really been put in this position before. Never been a head coach of an NFL team, obviously. So it should be really, really interesting to see how he handles the clock, how he handles halftime adjustments, how he handles everything that Jacksonville's going to throw at him. But outside of Robert Saleh, we have Elijah Vera Tucker, John Franklin Myers, Fudakasi, Hamza Nasruddin, Sherrod Niesman, Jeff Smith and Vincent Smith, Michael Carter, the cornerback, and Justin Hardy. Okay, now you take a look at the injuries. So that's just the virus stuff. The injuries consist of Corey Davis, Mekhi Becton, Marcus May, LaMarcus Joyner, Elijah Moore, Elijah Riley, and George Fant is currently up in the air. So obviously a lot of players are going to be missing. So because this team is so depleted, we're going into week 16. Look, if this was week 3, week 4, it would be a different story here, but we're going into week 16, and the Jets only have 3 wins on the season. Jacksonville, on the other hand, 2 wins on the season, led by Darrell Bevell. They have their slew of issues as well, as far as, offensive firepower at the wide receiver position. They're currently dealing with a lot of injuries. They have some nice young core pieces. Obviously, Trevor Lawrence, Josh Allen, Miles Jack. I really like Walker Little, the tackle out of Stanford. And they actually signed a corner that I wanted the Jets to sign back in the offseason in Shaq Griffin. Okay, I really think Shaq Griffin can play, but because this is the current circumstance, this is how I want the Jets to play. I want us to let loose. And I know, Zach Wilson talks about it every week at his press conferences. Oh, I have to, go out there and let it rip, not think too much, just play ball. This is the week that it needs to be implemented. I mean, our backs are against the wall here. Just go out there and rip it. Play free. I don't want Wilson to feel constricted, restrained by anything. I don't want him playing in this game with a lot of mental haze, mental fog, distractions, outside noise. I want him to go in feeling almost liberated. I don't want to play with a super conservative game plan, a really rigid game plan where we have to make sure every little detail is accounted for. I want us to spread the football out, spread the football around to different playmakers, and fire the ball down the field. I really only feel like the Jets have played like that twice this season. The first time was actually in week 1 against the Panthers in the second half. I mean, our backs were truly against the wall in that game. In order to come back, we had to start opening it up. And then, of course, the Tennessee Titans game. Getting Zach Wilson outside the pocket, taking those deep shots down the field, really maximizing those one-on-one matchups. You look at this Jaguars defense, they're 32nd. They're last in the league in opposing completion percentage, and they allow 7.3 yards per pass. By the way, that's 28th in the league. So what does that tell you? You can throw on this Jaguars defense, okay? Again, I like some of their players. I think they have a nice young core of players. It's going to be interesting to see who they hire for head coach. I'm thinking on the outside right now, it's going to be a guy who's coached before, maybe a Doug Peterson. I know that could be a really, really interesting pairing there. But as far as this weekend is concerned, it's all about Zach Wilson. I'm turning him loose. This could be the game where Zach Wilson just completely lights it up, and that's kind of what I'm hoping for. As far as the defense is concerned, I really don't feel like you need some elite or dominant performance to get the job done. Bend but don't break. I mean, at the end of the day, we are going up against an offense that's led by a rookie quarterback in Trevor Lawrence, a guy who I love. I mean, so much potential there. It's really exciting to think about what he can do at this level, but at the end of the day, he is still a rookie quarterback that at times has struggled big time with turnovers and whatnot, leading the offense consistently. There are some holes on the offensive line that you can exploit. Again, not much firepower at the wide receiver positions. They're 30th in completion percentage. They're 32nd in the league in yards per pass, just over 5. So this Jags offense, they struggle to move the ball through the air. But here's what I'm concerned about. Okay, number one, Trevor Lawrence's legs. I do feel like those could be a factor if the Jags get into that 3rd and 4, 3rd and 5 range where he can pull it back on a read option, where he can go through his reads and then tuck it and run. That's an area that the Jets have struggled with this season, going up against mobile quarterbacks or guys extending plays, breaking the pocket. I mean, Tua has done a pretty good job of that in both times. Obviously, Josh Allen as well. So watch out for Trevor Lawrence's legs. And then number 2, hone in on James Robinson. I do expect Bevel to get James Robinson the football a lot, not only just on the ground, but through the air, swing passes, screen passes, and whatnot. James is a really, really effective ball carrier, but here's the deal. As far as this kind of this is the elephant in the room here, the draft implications. Obviously, the Jacksonville Jaguars right now are sitting with that top pick. 2-12 on the season. It has not. They already fired Urban Meyer. They are right now looking like they're going to be finishing with the first pick. So if this team beats the New York Jets, all of a sudden it opens the door for the Jets landing that first pick, or the second pick, or something like that, depending on how strength of schedule plays out and what happens in the next 2 weeks. So there's a lot riding on this game as far as the draft is concerned. Now, there's obviously been a lot of questions. Oh, should the Jets lose this game? Do I want the Jets to lose this game? And my answer, it's definitely a good question, but this is just kind of my take on it. I'm kind of viewing this game this weekend almost as a win-win situation. On one hand, if the Jets win, they go out and beat Jacksonville. Awesome. Great. A win is a win. Hopefully Zach Wilson balls out. He has himself a day. It's great for the culture. It's great for the young players. Maybe we can stack something. Maybe something clicks for the young guys, Wilson included, in Sunday's game that we can build upon moving forward, not only just in these next 2 weeks against Tampa and Buffalo, but going into the offseason, going into next year. Maybe this is the game where everything just kind of locks in for Zach Wilson and says, you know what? I can play. I can do this at the NFL level. So that's one hand. Now, if the Jets lose, I do think potentially it could be catastrophic for the locker room. I think if the Jets were to go out there and extend their losing streak in our house to the worst team in football, Jacksonville, led by a rookie quarterback and an interim head coach, I think it sends a horrible message to the guys in the locker room. I think players could start to question the current foundation in place. What are we doing? I mean, we only have 3 wins on the season, and we're out here late into the season losing in front of our home fans against the worst team in football. I don't think it sets the best stage for the young players. As far as the culture is concerned, I do think seeds of doubt could start to emerge. I also think from an optic perspective, free agents around the league, guys, for example, Stephon Gilmore, JC Jackson, Marcus Williams, just, potentially Brandon Scherf, like big name free agents, I think could look at this game like, do I really want to go here? This team can offer me a lot of money, but if they're losing to the worst team in football this late into the season, and you're a free agent out there, and you're deciding between the Jets and the Steelers, Jets and the Colts, Jets and Washington, Jets and Eagles, I think free agents, right, guys could look at New York and say, you know what, this is a team that's too far away. My playing career is short. I'm obviously off my rookie deal. I'm going to opt for the team that I feel like can get to the playoffs sooner, which results in Joe Douglas having to fork over more cash or overpay for guys. And that's never a good situation. So it could, and again, this is all an assumption here, but it could result in problems like that. But on the flip side, the number 1 pick is definitely enticing. Kayvon Thibodeau, Aiden Hutchinson, Evan Neal. I mean, those guys would be huge additions to this football team. And it's not just the number 1 overall pick, the 2nd overall pick. It's also the 1st or 2nd pick in every round after that, not to mention Seattle's pick, not to mention Carolina's 2nd and 4th round pick. So the Jets have a ton of draft capital, a lot of assets here. But man, I mean, if the Jets finish with that 1st overall pick, how could you not be excited if you're a Jet fan? The only downside is the culture, free agency, young guys in the locker room. Will guys start to question Saleh, question Mike LaFleur, question Jeff Ulbrich? Like, what are we even doing here? So that's the downside. But Maybe I'm reading too much into it. Who knows? We'll see what happens this Sunday. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. Jags at Jets. Definitely going to be a weird game, but strangely, I'm really excited for it. Call me crazy, but I'm actually pumped. So anyway, I'll leave it there. Thanks so much for watching. I really appreciate it. And as always, go Jets.